Mr. Caskin was very ill, and to make it worse, someone was throwing stones at his house. The ground floor windows were already broken, and as he telephoned the London police, the window of his bedroom disappeared in a shower of flying glass. The police arrived and set a guard on the house, but the stones continued to fly. More men were assigned until a cordon of 40 bobbies covered every possible approach to the building. It was physically impossible for any living person to throw the stones, but they kept coming. This is one of the most recent and best authenticated accounts of the activities of a poltergeist, or noisy ghost. These good-natured but destructive spirits have been haunting mankind for a long time, but the explanation has yet to be found as to what they really are. Poltergeists are real practical jokers. They seem to be happiest whenever they are driving someone frantic with their tricks. They set mysterious fires, break dishes, throw stones, knock on doors, move furniture around, and generally make as big a nuisance of themselves as possible. That they are irreverent has been proven time and time again. They are most destructive when destroying a cleric's home or church. It is a matter of record that the largest percentage of poltergeist visitations have taken place in personages. The Reverend Dr. Eliakim Phelps found out just what that could mean. He, his wife, and 4 children came home from church one Sunday to find all the clothes in the house in the living room, arranged to resemble sitting, kneeling, and praying figures. The good doctor muttered something about childish pranks and put the entire family to work restoring the clothes to their proper places. It took over an hour to replace everything, and they were just sitting down to dinner when a terrible crash from the other room caused them to rush in. A large marble-top table was overturned, and the clothes were back, arranged as another and even more interesting group of figures. This was the opening of an attack that eventually forced Dr. Phelps to sell the house and move. Loud knocks were heard on the door, which when opened revealed nothing. Vines grew from the floor, and lighted matches were seen to fall from the ceiling. The silver spoons jumped from the table and danced around the room. When Dr. Phelps tried to grab them, a lamp sailed through the door from the other room and struck him on the back of the head. The poltergeist seemed to get its greatest pleasure from tormenting children. A little girl was found unconscious in her bed, a long ribbon wrapped tightly around her throat. The youngest boy walked into the barn and was heard to cry out a moment later. His parents rushed in to find him dazed but unhurt. His clothes, however, had been slashed into 1,000 pieces. Poltergeists have been bothering mankind for thousands of years. The earliest writings tell of King Theodoric's troubles with flying rocks in 530 AD. He also had his clothing cut to ribbons. This is one of the commonest poltergeist tricks, along with stone throwing and setting fires in locked cabinets. In every age and in every part of the world, there have been reports of these mysterious activities. Poltergeists seem to operate without respect for physical laws. Objects have appeared in sealed rooms. A table that came through the door of an adjoining room would not go back through the door until it was disassembled. The strangest case of this kind occurred in London in 1906. Unknown forces had been hurling lime barrels around a warehouse for some time. When the workers came in one morning, they found that one of the horses was missing from the stable. They searched the building and eventually found him in the hay room, a small chamber at the top of the building. In order to let the animal out, one wall of the room had to be torn down. This ability to operate in sealed rooms has been one of the most baffling aspects of the poltergeist mystery. These spectral jokers have as little respect for the dead as they have for the clergy. There have been numerous reports of coffins being tossed around in sealed tombs. When this happened in Barbados, it made big news. The tomb of one of the most prominent families was opened to inter a recently departed member. It was an underground tomb, hewed from solid rock, with a stone door so heavy that it took 7 men to move it. Once inside, The mourners drew back in awe from the disordered chamber. Every one of the heavy, lead-lined coffins had been moved. Some stood on end, while others lay in a jumble, one on top of the other. There were no marks of water that might have floated the coffins, or entrances by which anyone might have entered. The vault was put in order, and fine sand scattered over the floor and stairs. Any agency that tried to move the coffins again would surely leave some trace. The massive door was closed, and a mason sealed it tight. The governor, who showed up for the ceremony, put his official seal over the opening, while many other people marked the fresh cement with their own private signs. 8 months later, with the seal still intact, the vault was opened for inspection. The door was moved only with great difficulty as a coffin rested against its inner side. The sand was unmarked, yet none of the caskets were in the positions in which they had been left. They had been overturned and tossed about by some unseen agency. One coffin had been broken open, and an arm hung out with a withered hand pointing to the doorway. The records revealed that the man in the broken coffin had been a suicide. He had been found with the bloody razor still clutched in that same hand. The flying stones of which poltergeists are so fond are a baffling mystery. They have been observed by thousands of reliable witnesses in every nation in the world. There can be no doubt that they exist, yet there is no satisfactory explanation of their existence. These stones move very slowly, much slower than an ordinary thrown stone. They usually describe wide arcs in the air, on some occasions making a right-angle turn in flight in order to pass through some opening. They are always warmer than the surrounding air. In fact, some of them are too hot to hold when picked up immediately after their strange flight. The most humorous ghost of all time was the moving spirit of the Saragossa mystery. This poltergeist was a disembodied voice that spoke from inside the kitchen chimney in Saragossa, Spain. This happy shade chatted and made jokes at any hour of the day or night. The inhabitants of the house became so annoyed by witty remarks from the furniture that they made a complaint to the police. The police officer inspecting the wall asked the tenant the dimension of the chimney. The tenant said that he had no idea. At this point, a cheerful voice came from the opening and said, "The chimney is exactly 6 inches in diameter." When measured, this statement was found to be correct. If you should find your china dancing a jig with flying stones in the front room someday, don't be frightened. After all, poltergeists are great jokers and don't hurt people. Well, most of the time.